Chapter 24: Fatigue and Wellness Awareness. A healthy driver is a safe and alert driver. Achieving a healthy and safe lifestyle can be challenging when done on the road, but it can be done. This chapter will focus on several of the factors that contribute to driver health and wellness. Some of the things that we'll be looking at through this chapter is safe lifting practices, personal safety, and security. Life on the road can lead to a lot of bad habits, including minimal exercise, unhealthy eating habits, overconsumption of caffeine, and smoking. It's important to incorporate good habits, including eating well, getting plenty of rest, and having an exercise routine. Remember, a healthy driver is an alert, safe driver. Weight, diet, and exercise all work together when it comes to your health. So now we're going to start off by talking about our weight. Being overweight can contribute to various health problems, including unhealthy cholesterol levels, high blood pressure, diabetes, back pain, and joint stress. It can also cause you to feel fatigued. A healthy diet and physical activity can help control your weight and in turn prevent certain health problems. As we take a look at our diet, I just want to throw something in there real quick. Know that one of the main reasons why truck drivers are getting off the road is because they can no longer get that medical card, be it from high blood pressure or their diabetes is getting too bad. So I know that we've all been taught about what foods we should be eating. We all know how we should eat and when we should eat and all that good stuff. But I want you to remember when you're out there and you're making these choices, the choices you make today is what's going to take care of your body tomorrow. So remember to make the right choices. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Eat whole grains. Eat low-fat dairy, lean protein. Stay away from carbohydrates. And hopefully this will keep you on the road a lot longer. Limiting our fats, oils, added sugars is also important when it comes to a healthy diet, as these foods provide calories but very little nutritional value. And again, we got to be watching that salt because too much salt can increase our blood pressure. And I'm sure we've all heard about the benefits of drinking water, and we should be drinking 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day. If you're working in extreme heat, you will need to drink at least 8 ounces of cold water every 15 to 20 minutes. Being on the road can present additional challenges. When it comes to healthy eating, your options can be limited when it comes to the menu at a truck stop or fast food outlet. Planning ahead and packing healthy foods before starting a trip is one way to combat this problem. Those of you that will be working locally or maybe even regionally are going to be able to plan for your food a lot better than those that are OTR. Locally, you'll be home every night, so you can pack a healthy lunch every day. Or even regionally, you can pack for a week and have a meal prep day and set up stuff so that you can have it for the week. OTR guys, the way I did it when I was OTR is once a week I would stop at a Walmart and I made sure that the only thing I put on my truck was healthy foods. I lost 30 pounds while I was on the road, and that's because I only put healthy food on the truck. You have to be watchful though that when you go in and you're in the truck stop, of course all those things catch your eye like the chips and the sodas and the candy bars, and you just have to use your willpower, of course, and stay away from those food items that we shouldn't be eating. Now, also with a great diet, we also need to have regular physical activity. This is very important for our overall health and fitness. Being physically active can help with losing weight or just maintaining a healthy weight, our own well-being, our sleep, and strengthening our muscles and our bones. And when we're talking about different kinds of exercise, there's 3 different kinds. You have your aerobic activities, which is walking, jogging, bicycling, or resistance and strength building, which is like lifting weights, or your balance and stretching activities, which include gentle stretching, yoga, martial arts, any of those things. Know that you need at least 2.5 hours of good physical activity a week, and this can be broken down into 10-minute increments throughout your days. Being on the road can present challenges when it comes to getting in physical activity on a regular basis, but it is important to make it a priority. Professional drivers spend many hours behind the wheel, and a lack of movement can take its toll. Sitting for long periods of time can lead to fatigue, back pain, and even blood clots. Having a game plan can help in getting in some form of physical activity. The game plan can include making time during a stop to take a walk or planning to stop at a facility that includes exercise equipment. Now, me personally, I actually like this guy in the picture here. I brought stuff with me on my truck. I had strength bands and I had small dumbbells. But one thing to remember when you're done exercising and before you hit the road again, make sure anything like those small weights, they're secure somewhere so that if you hit your brakes while you're going down the road, they aren't flying projectiles throughout your truck. Okay. Other times you can get exercise in is when you're stopped at deliveries or pickup or on a break. Take a quick walk around your truck. I always saw guys walking around the truck stops and stuff like that just to get in some exercise. Park far in the back so you have to walk all the way in. Anything to get this body moving. Something else we need to look at is just stress, the daily stress of the job, the daily stress of life. Um, I know in the beginning of our training, we talked about just enjoying the ride. If we start to enjoy the ride and don't have this go, go, go mentality, hopefully that will help relieve some stress off of you as well. Medically, stress can cause you to suffer headaches, high blood pressure, pain, breathing trouble, digestive disorders, obesity, insomnia, and fatigue. Psychologically, you may suffer frustration, irritability, anger, impatience, worry, lack of self-confidence. To compound matters, your job can be affected too. Stress can lead to accidents, a loss of priorities, rushing, and an anger or inappropriate behavior. You can see here too that some of the things that are caused from stress, headaches, high blood pressure, pain, breathing trouble, digestive disorders, obesity, insomnia, and fatigue. Use one or more of the following stress reduction techniques to help you deal with stress. Take breaks and take them often. Exercise. Maintain a balanced diet. Get your proper rest. Practice deep breathing or yoga. Manage your time and set priorities to do the most important things first. Laugh and cry to release tension. Talk to a friend or counselor and try to always trip plan so that you're not putting yourself in a situation where stress is really high, like running late or something like that. Now let's take a few moments and look at something that's a huge problem out there for drivers, and that is fatigue. Fatigue. It is a generic term used to describe anything from being sleepy to exhausted. Two major causes of fatigue are sleep loss and changes to the body's circadian rhythm. Sleep loss. Let's take a look at that. Sleep, like food and water, is necessary for human survival. Depriving your body of sleep is like starving yourself or not drinking water. In general, most adults need 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep to feel well rested. Sleep loss of as little as 2 hours can negatively affect alertness and performance. This can include reduced judgment, slowed reaction time, lack of coordination, and poor attitude or mood. In addition, sleep-deprived people also tend to eat more and crave food with simple carbohydrates, which are high in sugar. Please also note that there is a regulation that prohibits a driver from driving a commercial motor vehicle when ill or fatigued, or while the driver's ability or alertness is so impaired that it makes it unsafe for him or her to operate a commercial motor vehicle. So know that not only is it dangerous, it's also against the law. And let's take a look at that word I used earlier, circadian rhythm. What exactly is a circadian rhythm? Well, put simply, your circadian rhythm is your body's internal or biological clock. For most people, their clocks run on a 24-hour cycle with times when they feel energized and awake and other times when they feel sleepy and lethargic. Time clues such as sunlight and darkness and your work-rest schedule keep your body's clock set to a certain schedule. Most people's clock is set to have two low periods. One is between 2 and 6 a.m. and the other is between 1 and 5 in the afternoon. And the 1 and 5 in the afternoon is why we got all those Snicker commercials. But the more dangerous of the two is the 2 to 6 a.m. Since most people are programmed to sleep when it's dark out, this makes fighting fatigue difficult when driving at night. So let's take a look at some of the signs of fatigue. And know that an alert driver is a safe driver. Being fatigued makes you less able to pay attention to the road. It slows your reaction time if you have to brake or steer suddenly, and affects your ability to make good decisions. The signs of fatigue now: lack of alertness, drowsiness, yawning, trouble focusing your eyes and trying to keep them open. And again, I'm sure a lot of us have been on our own little road trips and we've experienced some of these signs of fatigue. Our head dropping, reduced reaction time, erratic shifting, intermittent braking, following vehicles too closely, lane deviations, and bad driving decisions. Have you ever been driving fatigue and you're just like, I just need to make it a little bit further. I just need to make another 20 miles down the road. I just need to go a little bit further. And unfortunately, when we do things like that, instead of taking care of the issue of fatigue, we're putting ourselves in a situation where we could get in an accident. And unfortunately, we could kill ourselves or somebody else. To help fight fatigue, you should get a solid 8 hours of sleep. Try to establish regular and sleeping waking schedule, and avoid driving during low periods. Sleep apnea. Sleep disorders can also contribute to fatigue. One of the more common sleep disorders is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea, if you're not aware of what it is, it's a breathing disorder characterized by brief pauses of breathing during sleep. When this happens, the person who is sleeping gasps for air, wakes up enough to get back into the normal breathing pattern, and then falls back asleep. Often this happens in such a short period of time the person sleeping doesn't realize what just occurred. The process can repeat itself up to 600 times a night. Though the person suffering from sleep apnea doesn't fully awake during these breathing episodes, his or her sleep pattern is disrupted enough that a good sleep period isn't refreshing, causing daytime sleepiness and poor concentration. Early detection and treatment for sleep apnea is important because sleep apnea may be linked with serious medical conditions including irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. And now we're going to spend a few moments looking at alcohol use and drug abuse. As we all are well aware, driving, drugs, and drinking are a deadly mix. Alcohol and or drug use can decrease your skill and thinking abilities. It can reduce coordination, slow your reaction rate, and dull mental processes. You should never use alcohol or drugs to help you stay awake or remain alert. Part of being a professional driver is knowing when it is safe to drive. It is your responsibility to comply with the applicable alcohol and drug regulations as well as your company's policy on this subject. There are several regulations in the FMCSA that address the use of alcohol by commercial drivers. For example, we cannot consume alcohol 4 hours prior to coming on duty. And again, this doesn't mean we're slap drunk and then 4 hours later we can drive a commercial motor vehicle. This is drinking one drink and then being able to drive 4 hours later. You cannot be under the influence of alcohol or have any measurable amount of alcohol concentration while on duty, operating, or in physical control of any commercial motor vehicle. And we should also not have alcohol in our motor vehicle in our possession, with the exception of only when we're transporting a manifested load of an alcohol beverage. The regulations also talk about several regulations that talk about drug use by commercial motor vehicle drivers. Please also note that something that I've read up on is CBD oil. Even though a lot of them state right on them that they don't contain THC, I would suggest that you stay away from CBD oil because I've seen a lot of cases where people have taken it and still failed their drug tests. So always understand the regulations on alcohol and drugs, and then of course also uphold federal law, company policy, and never being under the influence while you're behind the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle. Please always remember too that now that you have a permit or CDL in your pocket, you're held to a higher standard. And know that certain offenses committed in any kind of vehicle, be it your work vehicle or your personal vehicle, will be held against a driver who possesses a CDL. That means that any CDL driver who is convicted of being under the influence of alcohol or drugs, doesn't matter what kind of vehicle he's in, as prescribed by the state law, will be disqualified from operating a vehicle requiring a CDL for a period of 1 year after his first offense. If the offense occurred in a vehicle hauling hazardous material, the penalty is stiffer with a 3-year disqualification. Any subsequent offenses in any kind of vehicle will lead to a lifetime disqualification. Safety on the job includes more than general knowledge of the regulations. It includes common sense and following your motor carrier's policies and procedures related to safe workplace practices. Accidents often occur when you face a new job or a change at work. When something in your workplace changes, think about your safety. If you are not sure how to proceed, ask questions. If you discover a hazard, always report it. And now we're going to take a few moments and look at safety in the workplace and some of the things that you need to be doing. Hopefully, when you were out on your first day on the range, they taught you about 3 points of contact. Anytime you get in and out of the vehicle, you should use 3 points of contact. And basically what that is you have 4 limbs and 3 of them should be touching, or you should be, the ground or a handle or something at all times as you're getting into this vehicle. You always face the vehicle as you're getting in, and you always face the vehicle when you're getting out. This not only includes getting in and out of the cab of the truck, but also like if you're climbing on the catwalk or getting in and out of the trailer or up on the flatbed. Always use 3 points of contact. Another thing we need to take a look at is how we're sitting in these trucks. And the key to being comfortable and productive behind the wheel starts with the proper seated position. When you're in the right position, all of your joints should work easily rather than being stressed while you drive. Develop a routine so that every time you enter the cab of your truck, you set your driving position properly. Sit upright, lower back in position that allows the seat to support your lower back area, which is also known as your lumbar. A lot of seats too will have it so that it has like a pillow in the back of the seat, and you can put air in or take it out to help support that lumbar area of your back. Your hands should rest on the wheel comfortably without having to stretch. Position your hands at the recommended 9 and 3 or 8 and 4 positions so that you can use the large muscles of your shoulders and upper arms to do the work of steering. This position should also give you a straightforward access to shift gears without stretching or stressing your arm or your wrist. When you're driving, avoid slouching or sitting with a lean, and try not to rest your left arm on the door rest for long periods of time. Change positions regularly to help keep from getting stiff. We've talked previously about how dangerous it is to be on the side of the road. You should only stop there in case it is a true emergency situation. The most common injuries are sustained while drivers are struck by other vehicles on the side of the road. If you have no choice but to stop on the side of the road, try to avoid small or soft shoulders, especially after periods of heavy rain or during a spring thaw. If you must stop on the side of the road, always do the proper procedure. Use your blinker when pulling to the side. Once you get stopped, use your four-way flashers. Always face traffic when walking around your vehicle. If you can, have a bright reflective vest that you can wear so other people can see you, and place warning devices as required by the regulations. Now, depending on the freight that you haul, like if you're a flatbedder or if you're OTR or if you're oil field, each one is going to have a different set of PPE, which is personal protective equipment. Always know what PPE you should be wearing and always follow your company policy. And sometimes it's a shipper receiver that has actual PPE requirements that you must follow. For example, when I was over the road, most of the time I didn't have to worry about PPE. Now, I did wear gloves anytime I was doing my pre-trip or anytime I was doing any kind of work outside of my vehicle. I always wore my gloves to protect my hands. When I went to certain shippers or receivers when I was an OTR driver, they might require that I wore a vest or safety goggles. Or I know anytime I went to Caterpillar, they made sure that you couldn't wear shorts. So you always had to be wearing pants when you arrived at that shipper or receiver, which is totally different to what my PPE was when I was in the oil field. When I was in the oil field, all my clothing had to be FR, which is fire retardant. I had to wear steel-toed shoes. Had to wear a hard hat, and I had to wear goggles and gloves at all times. So it's very dependent on the type of work you do, but always follow your company policy or the policies of the shipper and receiver of where you're at. Another thing as a truck driver that we really have to be watchful for is back injuries. And know that a lot of back pain is just self-inflicted. It's due to a lifetime of bad habits and poor techniques. And over time, that can lead to a more serious back injury. Common causes of back pain are from poor posture, poor physical fitness, poor diet, awkward sleeping positions, stress, sudden movements, and improper lifting. We have to take care of our back the whole time we're out here. So be watching and making sure we're doing everything like proper lifting to take care of our back. And I'm sure that people have taught you how to properly lift things, and we're just going to go through it real quick because injury to our backs must be taken seriously, as it can cause a lifetime of pain and discomfort. So let's go through the 5 steps real quick of how to properly lift. Number 1, make sure you can carry the load to its destination before attempting to lift the object. Step 2, size up the load before trying to lift it. If it's too heavy, get some help. Also, make sure that your path is clear of all obstacles, and if you need to, you can like carry it a short distance, stop, take a break, and then carry it the rest of the way. Step 3, bend your knees. Let your legs do all the work. So we should be placing our feet about shoulder width apart, center yourself over the load, bend your knees, and get a good handhold. Lift straight up smoothly, never bend at the waist or lift with a rounded back. Step 4, never twist or turn your body once you have made the lift. Keep the load steady and close to your body. Never carry a load above your head or at your side. And step 5, as well as lifting it properly, we must set the load down properly. Bend your knees, keep your back upright, let your legs do the work. Take your time. Keep your head up, tighten your abdominal muscles, pivot your feet before you move in another direction, and do not twist. Always push, don't pull an object. Pushing puts less strain on the back. We've talked about several things during this chapter about keeping you healthy and keeping you fit and keeping your body and working well and your physical fitness. Now we need to talk about your personal security while on the road. And there's several things that you should do to ensure your safety while you're out on the road. Always be cautious of vehicles that may be following you. This usually happens from the shipper on out. They maybe have learned a shipper or somebody that ships something of value, and so they'll case that joint out and then they'll follow drivers from that facility. Always be aware if anybody's following you. I always made it a plan that I didn't stop within the first 200 or 300 miles of my shipper, especially if I was under a high value load. That way, there was less likelihood that somebody could actually try to apprehend my cargo. Being suspicious of anyone who asks about your load or its destination. We should never talk about our loads, what we're actually hauling, where we're picking up, where we're delivering, our routes, any of that information. We should never be sharing that information with anybody. Always lock your vehicle when you're stopped. Always park in well-lit areas at night. Always be aware of your surroundings and who's around you. Other things, as far as your money, safeguard your wallet, your credit cards, and your receipts. Never pull large amount of cash out of your wallet. Be very alert when you're using an ATM. And then anytime you leave your vehicle, when you come back, always inspect it. Always walk around it, make sure nobody's messed with the vehicle, make sure the seals are still intact at the rear if you have, trailer doors with seals. Also, inspect other parts of your vehicle and know that nobody's messed with it for like the fifth wheel pull and other things that they could have done to your vehicle while you were gone. All these things can help you be more safe out on the road.